unrelentingly beautiful song of the nightingales. All my thoughts were of the enigmatic Mary Cavendish. But there was no sign of her in the house the following morning, and it was not until after lunch that she made an appearance.
You can't possibly waste a glorious afternoon like this sitting in the light.
So we set off on a charming walk through the woods and across the fields.
I try to get out as much as I can. It can get quite claustrophobic at times. Two married women shouldn't have to share the same house.
Mrs. Inglethorpe can't be an easy woman to live with.
Oh, don't misunderstand me, Captain Hastings. I have a great affection for Emily. But she does insist on having her own way. And she treats John and Lawrence as if they were still schoolboys. It wasn't too bad until Alfred Inglethorpe came on the scene, but now she won't listen to anyone except darling Alfred. Oh, sometimes I wish...
What do you wish?
No, don't let's talk about it anymore. It's much too lovely a day. We'll cut across down to the stream. We might see a kingfisher. But we mustn't be too long. I promised John we'd be back by 5.
Thank God you're here at last. It's the very deuce of a mess. Evie's had a row with Inglethorpe and she's been given her marching orders.
Why? What actually happened?
And apparently she went to the matron, but here she is. She can tell you herself.
Well, I've spoken my mind at any rate. Evie, this simply can't be true.
It's true enough. I said a few things to Emily she won't forget in a hurry. There's no fool like an old fool, I told her. That man's 20 years younger than you, and don't kid yourself he's after anything but your money. And why do you think he's spending so much time down by Long Farm? Mrs. Raikes is a very pretty woman, and he doesn't go over there just to talk about how our crops are doing.
Good Lord, and what did she say to that?
She said I was a wicked woman to tell such terrible lies about darling Alfred, and the sooner I left the house, the better. So I'm off.
But not now, surely.
This very minute. Do you think you will run me down to the station, Mr. Cavendish?
I'll go and check the times of the train.
At least wait until I've had a word with Emily, Evie. I can't believe this is happening.
Captain Hastings, you're an honest man, I can tell that. Look after my poor Emily if you can. There are a lot of sharks here, all of them. They're only waiting for her to die so they can get their hands on her money. I've protected her as much as I can, but I tremble to think what may happen when I'm gone. Just keep your eyes open, and above all, watch out for that devil, her husband.
Evie went upstairs and brought down her luggage. The Inglethorpes did not appear. As John drove her off down the drive, I noticed Mary going out to meet a tall, bearded man who was evidently heading for the house. Who's that chap kissing Mary Cavendish's hand?
Oh, that's Dr. Bauerstein. He's staying in the village. He's a London specialist who's apparently come down here to recover from some kind of nervous breakdown.
Is that the chap Mrs. Cavendish said knew so much about the poison?
One of the greatest living experts, so they say. He's a great friend of hers.
I didn't care for the look of him very much. Too many Blackbeards round Styles, and I cared even less for his being a great friend of Mary's. When John came back from the station, we took a walk through the plantation. As we came to one of the gates, a young gypsy-looking woman coming in the opposite direction bowed her head and smiled.
Afternoon.
What an astonishing pretty girl.
That is Mrs. Raikes.
The woman lady was trying to warn your mother about.
Exactly.
Who's Styles come to you when your stepmother died?
It should be mine now by rights. If my father had only made a decent will, then I shouldn't be so damned hard up.
I think it's really that bad.
My dear Hastings, I don't mind telling you I'm at my wit's end for money. The mater's always kept us on a pretty tight rein, and she still doles out our allowance as if it were pocket money. This is humiliating. I'm a middle-aged married man, for goodness sake. And of course, since the war broke out, she can't think about anything but her bazaars and charities. Darling Alfred is at the centre of it all, of course, and he believes he can twist around his little finger. But I'll be damned if he's going to get his hands on Styles.
The days drifted lazily by without anything particular to mark their passing, but I began to feel that something had changed with the departure of Evelyn Howard. Her presence had spelt security, but now that security had been removed, the air seemed rife with suspicion. A vague distrust of everyone and everything filled my mind. It was quite a relief to get a letter from Evie.
I've got a job as a nurse in the hospital in Midlingham. It's only 14 miles from Styles, and I can be over in half an hour if I'm needed. Please keep an eye on Emily, Captain Hastings, and let me know if she shows any sign of change of heart. Sooner or later, she must see that devil for what he is, and realize what a fool he's made of her.
A spell of extraordinarily hot weather set in. Mary Cavendish went off for longer and longer expeditions with Dr. Bauerstein. What could she possibly see in the fellow? On the 16th, which was a Monday, there was a charity concert in the village hall.
We've all got to rally round. The mater wants to make a real splash with this one.
We spent all day arranging and decorating the place. Supper was served early, but we all had rather a scramble to be ready on time. And before the meal was over, the car was waiting at the door.
But, ma'am, you won't have your medicine.
Don't bother me with that now, Dorcas.
Dr. Willerton said that on no account was you to miss taking it, ma'am. He was most insistent.
It will do me no harm to go without it for once. I've more important things to attend to.
The really important thing was a patriotic poem which Mrs. Inglethorpe delivered with considerable gusto.
Who's for the French? Are you, my laddie? Who'll follow French? Will you, my laddie? Who's fretting to begin? Who's going to win? And who wants to save his skin? Do you, my laddie?
Of course, it was all a tremendous success. Cynthia took part in some of the tableau and looked quite stunning.